Hello. We are now live on Facebook and on YouTube. Welcome to everyone. We're going to start very, very soon. I can see that people are beginning to join. And beginning to join. Our guest is here. Welcome. Welcome to all of you. I see people are beginning to join. Thank you so much for joining. All right. Let me just close this door. Okay. Welcome. I see you. You're coming. You're joining. Welcome. Just tell us as you come that you are in now so that we know. Kongongo, Mulwen, good to see you. We're going to start soon. Our guest is here already. Dr. Radebe-Rapitsi. She is here. I see you. Ndabambi. Shabam, good to see you. I see others are beginning to join. Please call as many people as possible. And even those of us who do not know, who are still married or who are still single, we do not know what will happen in the future. And in Ishwabuleli. But I'm saying, let's just be informed. We have younger siblings and friends who may ask us for advice on this topic we're going to be talking about today. So call those people, invite them to come. We want people to be empowered with as many topics as possible. Thank you so much. Welcome. I see you joining. Call friends, send a link to others so that we can all benefit from this discussion. Doc, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I think your screen is frozen. I'm just waiting for more people to join before we start this important discussion on such an important topic, which affects so many people. And as the divorce rates are going higher, and children are being born out of wedlock, there are so many of these challenges that keep coming up, facing so many people. And today we're going to be talking about managing blended families to successfully. And for that, I think we need to have everybody joining us. Doc, as soon as you're ready with your because I see that your screen is frozen. As soon as you can unfreeze it and join, and then we can start with our program this afternoon. Okay, I think she's going to rejoin. As soon as she rejoins, then we'll be able to start. Let me welcome all of you today, everyone who has joined, and everyone who will view this later. I'd like to welcome all of you to this moment of insight and growth. This is a portal where we grow and where we receive insights about various areas of life. And so I'd like to welcome you all today. Our guest was here just now, and she is rejoining again. I think she was using a different device. I can see that she's coming in. Doc, are you there? I can see you now.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I think I can see you, and my suggestion is that if you can put you can be in the middle of your, because I can see now part of your shoulder. Okay, there you go. There you are. I can see you. I can see you. Is it okay? Can you see me? Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can see you. I can hear you well.
Okay, and then I suggest that if you can, just bring it closer so that we can see your face better. That's
Like
it.
this.
That's much better. That's much better. Now we can see you. Okay. All right. I can see people joining. Violet Uvuvu, Matomela, I see you. Francis Kuster, I see you. Welcome. Welcome to all others that have joined us this afternoon. And I was saying that this moment of insight and growth, the name of this program, is a time when we grow and we really engage with various topics. Blended families or step families are now common in the world. And millions of children live with a biological parent as well as a step parent. And bringing these two together sometimes can be a big challenge. Children may be used to different parenting styles, and family routines. There could be conflicts around visitation rights and practices and all of those kinds of things. So many people are involved in this family, and you've got the family that we're talking about. Sometimes they may be married or they may not be married. They could be cohabiting, but they're bringing in families. And you also have got the other parent of this same child, of these children, out there. They want to get involved. They have their own in-laws and so on. So it's a big issue that we all have to deal with. And so today, it's my pleasure to have leading us in this discussion, Dr. Radebe-Rapitsi, who is a counseling psychologist, a retired or a former university lecturer, and an author of a number of books. I'm aware of 3. Ma'am, you'll tell me if there's more, but I think there's one book which is called Emotional Wound Healing. Another one which is about midlife transitions, toward a better understanding of midlife transitions. And then we've got this one, which we're going to be talking about today. Remember when you visited us in our home in Cape Town? I'm sure you forgot. And you stayed overnight there at home when we're still staying in Cape Town. And my wife reminded me of this book, and you gave us this copy of the book that we're going to be talking about today. And so that's why I phoned you and I said, ma'am, can we talk about this important topic? The book is called Successful Blended Families. I've got a copy, well written, simple. It's not academic. It's really well grounded book, this one. And many people, by the way, ma'am, have asked about how they can get hold of this book. And so before the end of this program, we've got to talk about how people can get hold of it. I've been looking at it. It's a powerful book. It talks about a number of things. I think today we're going to delve a little bit more on it. I also see that Ukonosis Batoli Lizwane, good to see you. Kanye Sashange, good to see you. We are here. I can see you, Sisi. Thank you so much. She wanted to know the link earlier on, and many people are really joining us now. And therefore, I'd like to welcome you, Doc. Can you please say hello to our viewers out there?
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
Good to be with you here.
Yes. It's good to have you here, Doc. It's been a while since I last saw you, but I've been following many of the things that you've been doing, writing all these books, doing all the great work that you're doing, making presentations and so on. Just for those people who are joining us for the first time on this platform, the purpose of these sessions that we hold most Sunday afternoons at 2 to 3 or 3:30. We're trying to accommodate people so that they can have their lunch, they can watch their sport, but in between they can have something meaningful to really nibble on before they do their own thing. And this program is intended to inspire and encourage, inform, and transform people, especially young people, with this idea that with God on your side, with support, with intentionality, with learning, with being informed, really, there's nothing that's impossible for you. And so we're bringing all these people that are coming in to discuss a number of these topics so that at the end of it all, someone can go away feeling that I've been transformed, I've been informed, I've been helped to deal with my situation that I've been dealing with. And so today it's my pleasure to have Dr. Rapitsi. So Dr. Rapitsi, let's start with you as a person. Just tell us a bit more about you, your background, where you're from, and just a little bit about yourself so that our colleagues, our viewers can know who we're talking about with today.
Okay. I am in Centurion in Pretoria.
Okay.
But I was born in the East Rand, that is Springs.
Okay.
At the time, it was Paynesville Township. That's where I grew up.
Okay.
And I'm from a big family, a family of 8 children, with 2 sets of twins. And I happen to be the last born twin.
Okay.
So then, with regard to my schooling, I obtained my primary education at Mbugwane Adventist School in Swaziland.
Okay.
At the time, it was called Mbugwane. I'm not sure now whether it's still Mbugwane or what. And then I then proceeded to Bethel College, where I completed my high school.
Okay.
I then proceeded to the University of Zululand to do a degree in social work. And I really liked that. I really liked that degree or that career or whatever.
Yeah.
And should I continue?
Yes, carry on. Yeah.
Okay, at the University of Zululand, that is where I met my first late husband, Mr. Radebe.
Yes.
Then my career started as a social worker.
Okay.
As I said, I did a degree in social work. It started as a social worker. I loved working with people in a helpful way and making a difference in their lives. So in my training as a social worker, I had to do psychology as one of my majors. I love psychology very much and was fascinated by it. And even the lecturer who was lecturing psychology would make you love psychology. It helped me understand myself and the people around me better, as well as understand the mental health disorders that were common in our township at the time, and such as ADHD in children, depression, drinking problems, all those things. Psychology helped me understand what was going on and why those people are the way they were. I therefore decided to pursue, as I was doing so, I was working as a social worker. I decided to pursue a career in psychology, to then specialize in psychology and increase my understanding of people. I then did a master's degree in psychology so that I could be a psychologist. After completion, I worked as a psychologist for 2 years, and then I moved on to academia, where I lectured at three various universities. That is University of the North, Medical University of South Africa. It used to be Medunsa then, and UNISA. It is during this period of lectureship where I completed my doctoral studies.
Okay.
After that, I left academia and decided to go back to therapy work.
Okay.
And that is when I decided, yes, private work. That is when I decided to write books. And that is when I had time to write books. But academia actually motivated me. And my doctoral studies also motivated me because, you had to write a thesis and all that. So I was just ready for being an author. So as you have already mentioned, I wrote 4 books.
Okay.
You have mentioned the 3 of them, I think.
I've mentioned 3, yes.
Yes, the last one is extramarital affairs, prevention and recovery.
Okay. Wow. You're dealing with real issues, I tell you.
Yeah. And what motivated me to write these books was my experience, my personal experience. And with others, it was my experience, my therapy work as I was working with people who encountered challenges. Then I noted some of the things that had to be shared with the wider community to prepare them.
We really appreciate the work that you have done in dealing with these subject matters and that are really, really bothering a lot of people. And I'm looking forward to even reading the other book that you just mentioned now so that we can. But today, we're going to be talking about this book that I was telling you about, which is Successful Blended Families. And just to think about what could have been behind this book. Now that we know a bit more about you as a person, I think now we're going to be transitioning to discussing the actual book. In fact, on the preface of the book, you say blended families are becoming a common feature in most communities. With the ever-changing divorce rate and the birth of children out of wedlock, blended families are on the rise. As a result, there is a growing need to address the blended family challenges so as to promote an increase in the number of successful blended families and harness the escalating divorce rate of the remarried couples. So now let's start with the basics. What is a blended family, and what types of blended families are out there, and what issues lead to blended families?
Okay, a blended family, some people call it a step family.
Yeah.
Or some say it's a complicated family. A step family is a family where you have 2 adults, or maybe both of them are parents, but you have one parent being a biological parent of the child and the other one not being a biological parent of the child or children.
Yes.
So that is a step parent, a step parent family. So the other one then becomes a step parent. So that's why they call it step parent family. And then what leads to step blended family or step parenting or whatever, usually is loss of a previous spouse. You find that both of them or one of them has lost a spouse through death or through divorce.
Yes.
And this person already had children. And now this person is getting married. So this person is now getting into a blended family. In some instances, both of them have experienced loss, or different types of losses. The other one lost through death, the other one lost through divorce, but both of them have experienced loss. But in other instances, it's only one that has experienced loss. And then we also have a blended family where it is not a loss, actually. One could be in a first marriage. In fact, both of them could be in a first marriage, but the other one already has children.
Okay.
So this other one is bringing children into this union.
Yes.
However, we can still say there is a loss involved, because the one who's bringing children, what happened to the relationship with the father of the children? Why are they not together? Why did they not get married? So some loss is involved, loss of a relationship. So then we also have a blended family where children are not necessarily involved. Where in-laws are involved. Where you find the couple having to stay with the mother-in-law. So as long as there is a third or more people in the family when the marriage is established, then it becomes a blended family, because now the two of them have to accommodate this family member. It could be a mother-in-law, it could be a brother's child, especially these days when people are dying and we have to adopt children. It could be children of my sister and all that. And we don't have children. We are not actually supposed to be getting into a blended family. But because now I'm bringing my sister's children, then we have a blended family. So
those are okay. Thank you so much. You keep referring to to marriage. So when people do fat and set and they bring both. The one I think it's called common law living arrangements. Is that a blended family as well?
Or both of them are bringing children?
Maybe both or one of them is bringing children, but they're living together under the same roof.
Definitely. They're living together as a family. They're living together as a family, whether legal or not legal, but they're living together as a family. So it is a blended family, because there is step parenting that is taking place there.
Okay. I think now we understand the basics. What it is that is a blended family. It's when people come together to and bring children, or maybe one of them has children, the other one does not have. This one is new. They are looking forward to starting their family, but they get here, they've already children in this family. Thank you so much, at least for those basics. I'm just going to recognize people as...
Can I just add?
Yes.
In some instances, a blended family is born out of adoption.
Okay.
They may not bring children, but they may decide to adopt children.
Okay. So there are many ways in which a blended family can arise. Yeah. Okay. And I want to ask people that are watching on YouTube and on Facebook to please submit questions if you want. I know that there may be some situations which are a bit sensitive, where you do not want your in-laws or your other people to know that you're asking this question. Whatever the case may be, ask a friend to send the question on your behalf, or you can send me a message on my phone so that we can discuss the real issues here. I see that Umakaba Lungisa Yaza is here. Thank you. She says, thank you, much needed topic. Yes, we're looking forward to be enlightened. Nagumpumi Masabalala, hello, is watching. Emmy, real issues indeed. Nyansele Siyangoya, Shumayan, good to see you. Sisinzani, Saunders, good to see you. Mtutu Mini, good to see you. And we're now going deeper into this thing. So now, in your book, you've written a chapter where you're talking about people that are thinking of getting into this committed relationship, a marriage relationship, or into a relationship, one of them is bringing children, or two of them are, what kind of issues should they consider? You've got a checklist in your book of some of the issues. What are the kind of discussion points should they have before they move into this committed relationship where they bring these people? You may not mention all of them, but the key highlights to help them prepare for this transition.
The first one is to realize a need for premarital counseling. Okay. Because a lot of issues come up there in that discussion. A need for premarital counseling. And then why? Because this will help them prepare themselves for what lies ahead. It will help them to look at issues. In other words, they will be looking at issues such as parenting styles in counseling. However, not necessarily counseling, even themselves, even if they don't go for counseling, they can have a one-to-one discussion, a serious discussion where they look at these things. And then when they do not reach an agreement or do not understand each other, then counseling might be necessary with regard to that issue. And then they need to prepare the children. They need to prepare the children for what is to come, for blended families. They help children understand what blended family is, what lies ahead, and all those things. They need to look at where they will live, accommodation. So, some people just take it for granted that, oh, because you have a house, no, I'll just jump in.
We'll move in together there.
Move in together, and and children are just puzzled what's happening. So they need to decide where to live, whether they will live in one of each other's house, or they will have a neutral home, or they have to discuss it, because those are very sensitive issues, especially when children are involved, and they can cause serious problems later on if not addressed before the marriage. And then they also have to look at the finances. Look at the finances. Who is bringing debts here? Because at times you get together on the other, the other one is heavily laden with debts, and the other one does not know. You discover when you are already in that you are only spending 2 years paying debts. So those are issues that have to be discussed. And actually, you even have to work out a budget, how you are going to be running your finances. Who has outside commitments? Who has, like, you find that a man has a commitment outside to pay maintenance. So those have to be discussed beforehand, so that there's maintenance that is being paid, and there are legal commitments where and therefore some monies will be going there. They have to be discussed, because if they're discussed later, they may be discussed when they have already harmed the relationship. And they also have to check their emotional wellness. Have they healed from the past relationships? If they are born of loss, the one who has lost their partner, has that person healed? Some people rushed into marriage before ensuring that they are healed. So those have to be checked, and they have to give each other time. The marriage can be delayed if it's clear that the other one has not healed. Another one could still be hurting from divorce. And if they get in, the resentment and all those things will come into the relationship. And hence we end up saying blended families do not survive. The survival rate is very low, yet it's because of all those things. And then the inheritance also. They have to look at inheritance.
Yes.
This one is having this one is having that, and how are we looking at it? How will the inheritance affect us? How will it affect children in case we die? In other words, they have to look at the legal issues affecting the marriage. How are they going to get married? Would it be in community of property or out of community of property? Meaning they have to consult legal people who can advise them so that they take informed decisions. And they also have to discuss again who will be a legal guardian if the biological parent of the children dies. They also have to discuss that, because it is not automatic that the remaining parent will have to take care of the stepchildren.
Okay. I think I want us to discuss this issue, because in your book you say there are battles over property ownership, and I think you've mentioned it briefly, but we're going to come back to that, because those are real issues that come up when the rubber meets the road. I see here that there's a question from Uluthando Ndabambi Mthembu. This is very interesting. I have a question already. Can a mother-in-law come to stay with us for over a year? I think this is a very uncomfortable arrangement. If Doc can advise us on that, that will be much appreciated. All right. This issue now of the grandmother coming to stay over here for a while. Okay. Can you answer that? Whilst you're answering that, think about also this question in the light of the previous question that I asked you. How do people prepare? So I want you to also think of ask this question of how can people, at what point do you involve the children in the discussion when we are still preparing and thinking through this coming together of the two? But if you can start with this in the one of the mother-in-law.
The mother-in-law, actually, I think that brings a problem when preparation is not made, because when you prepare for marriage, you discuss the in-law issues, how you are going to run the relationships. So if it was not discussed, that period to you might be a long period, yet to the child of this mother is not a long period. And then the child of this mother will wonder, why are you worried? Because this person is not here to stay permanently. This person is going to go. But then, because it's not your expectation, it was not discussed, you are just frustrated and stressed. Then it means when it comes to this one, it's either you confront the child of this mother and say, for how long is mama staying here? And I feel uncomfortable because of this and this. If you feel uncomfortable, I feel uncomfortable because of this and this and this and this and this and that. I know we hadn't discussed this before, but I would prefer it if it's done this way. You will indicate your discomfort. Otherwise, it might mean you just don't like this grandmother, or you just don't like his mother or my mother. You just don't like the mother. Yeah. But it just shows things that have to be discussed before marriage. Because in-law issues can really destabilize the relationship if they are not thrashed out earlier. If rules and what you didn't agree on visitation of the in-laws and all that.
Yeah, this particular issue, I think it's applicable, whether people are in a blended family or just a couple. This particular question, I don't think it's unique to a blended family, but I think it can add a bit more dynamic when the family is blended in that way. Now, can we revert back to this issue of at what point do you involve the children in the discussion about your new relationship with a new spouse? You're thinking of marrying this person and you think of moving on with them. At what point and how do you handle the discussion with the children?
Yeah, this is a very tricky one, and it's problematic for most people, especially women. With men it's easy because they simply leave home and go somewhere and go to the woman wherever she is. But with women it's a problem, because now this guy comes in and children wonder, why is this uncle coming every other day, and what's going on? So I think as soon as you realize that the relationship is stabilizing, then you can begin to involve children. But before you know what is going on, do not involve children, and try to have a neutral place where you can meet instead of this person coming home all the time. Because when the person is coming home often, it indicates that the relationship has stabilized. Then it means you have to be engaging children by then. Now, let's take it that the relationship has stabilized and you really are talking about now settling together. Then you have to involve the children. And then when you involve the children, you first of all tell them what is happening. You are having a relationship with this person, and because maybe you are lonely or you want a friend, or it depends on the ages of the children, and you use the language that they may understand. And then you find out from them how they see it. Do you want me to have a friend, or you don't want me to have a friend, and how do they feel? They will give them space to express their feelings. And then as you engage them, you then realize that they are not ready for you to move on. They are not ready for the replacement of their parent, and they have fears of abandonment. You realize quite a number of things that you will therefore need to address. And then and then you later on, as you address those issues, you then gradually bring in the issue of marriage, that you are discussing the issue of marriage, you are discussing of settling together, and the implications are this and this and this and this. You keep on checking how they feel, but a lot of them will feel very uncomfortable and will discourage you, Then that is when you also go for counseling then, because now you are thinking of getting married, and then you go for counseling. As you go for counseling will help you look for red flags, because at times you decide to get married, meanwhile there are just indications that this is danger, you shouldn't go there. This person is an alcoholic, a heavy drinker, and you are thinking of settling down with this person. You look for red flags. Counseling will help you uncover the red flags, and it will then help you and the children how to relate to the children, how to bring the subject to the children. And so initially it will be you and counseling, but you don't move very far with counseling without involving children. You have to involve children very early, so that they move with you. They understand what is going on. They understand the relationship. And even some of the issues that are troubling them, they will hear them being addressed in counseling. So I think you just need to involve them as long as issues that affect them are discussed, and as long as they are given space to express themselves.
Yes. Okay, well, we're going to come back to the questions here, but let me just, because you write also from a personal experience, because you had indicated earlier on, I think you've spoken about this publicly, that you were married to Dr Radebe before, and then you got married. So how did you handle the situation? How young or old were your children when that happened, Doc?
It was still difficult. A blended family, whatever age, is always complicated and difficult and emotionally draining. And unfortunately, you discover most of the things when you are already there. And that's why I wrote the book, so that people should be aware before they are there.
Before they
and
go
not be surprised. Yes, and not be surprised by challenges when they are already there. Well, my children, fortunately, they were older. And though one of them had moved out of the house, one of them was married, and the other one was still at home. But then the issue of them getting counseling and all those things, it didn't happen in my mind. Therefore, they were not involved. It was me and my decision, and me telling them what I have decided. And I realized that it was not easy for them, and they didn't have space to voice their feelings. They were just forced to accept. You know, they were just forced to accept everything, all the changes they were told. So that created
Mama
problems.
was in love. Mama was in love.
Yes, yes, yes. And then, yeah. And then, it really strained them, actually. It took,
Mm,
it took, it took time for them to really understand what's going on and accept that, hey, she's
mm,
moving on. She's
mm,
moving
mm,
on. There's
mm,
no way
mm,
we
mm.
can stop it. And we
Yeah.
cannot choose for her. And
Mm.
yeah, but with time, it took time.
It
But
took
if
time.
I
And
did certain things, it would have
mm,
been much easier. It would have been
okay.
much easier. Yeah.
Because I mean, I think it's more difficult when the children are much younger, and so on. So now I want us to transition to, let's say, the involvement, because you've got me here, who's married to you. We both bring our children, and then the father of the children on your side is still alive, and the mother of my children is still alive on my side. Their parents, their sisters are involved, and also how can this matter be dealt with in such a way that the children's the relationship with the children is looked well? What should there be meetings that are being discussed both with the other spouses who are involved here? They, for example, they need to have access to the children. They need to have visitation rights. Children need to take time to go and see them, and there's monies that are involved. How can those matters be addressed practically?
I think the starting point is to deal with them as a couple, the two of you as a couple, to deal with them and plan how you want things to happen, how the visitation should happen, and have boundaries before you involve the other people. You can even discuss that in counseling. They can help you so that you clearly handle the issue very well without hurting other people or damaging the relationships. Then when you have agreed how you will do things, then you can begin to involve the others. A meeting is very important. It is important to really organize a meeting and formalize it and say, we need to be discussing this. And by the time you involve them, you already know what you want and you know how to put it. You don't put it like you don't care, or, you have a meeting and then you hear what they say, you agree and disagree, and until you reach a resolution of the whole thing. And when you have, then the relationship will be better, will be smooth in a way, because you have agreed that things will be done this way. The
Yeah,
problem comes in when they do not stick to the agreement.
agreement.
Yes, that's where the problem comes in. And that's where then there is conflict. And then when there's conflict, then you have to bring in your conflict resolution skills to resolve this conflict, because it has to be resolved. It cannot go on and on, because it is damaging, especially to the children, and damaging your relationship as well. Because if there's this tension, your partner is also affected. Your partner
Yeah.
is also affected. So as you deal with all this, don't leave your partner outside.
Yeah.
Deal with the issue together with your partner. As much
Sure.
as you dealt with it initially before marriage, deal with it with your partner even in marriage. Otherwise, the partner might feel sidelined and might make different conclusions.
Okay. Okay. I see here that Nancy, a question. I see Amish, Amanda Amish. Good to see you, ma'am. Mfundisi Kaile Tuchacha, Abrakeza. Good to see you. Then there's a question here that says, what if the child or children are not welcoming you as a step parent? How can this be addressed? And then that's the question. And then the comment from Susanzani, it says, blended families are tough to handle. Cultural, it is expected to happen smoothly, always reminded about loyalty to the other family. It's not easy at all. I think she's illustrating, or she's adding to what you were saying. I see Sis Naledi Molope Surud, good to see you. All right, ma'am, what do you do when the children are not welcoming? What sort of, as a parent who's now here, trying to establish a relationship with this child, what do you do when they reject you?
First of all, you
Especially
need
if you,
to.
especially if you are living under the same roof, are living under the same roof, and when you're, yeah.
Hey, that is testing your patience. I think first of all, you need to try to understand why. What could be the reason? Because if you can understand the reason, you can resolve it from an informed point of view. Some children do not accept a step parent because maybe you married too soon. They were still grieving for the loss of their parent, either through divorce or death. They were still, they hadn't come to terms with that loss. And there you are bringing this person, and they just resent this person because they are still dealing with their own feelings. Now they are displacing them on this person. So then in that situation, it means dealing with it means helping the children grieve for their loss. At times, it may not be loss of a parent through death or divorce. It might just be grieving for the loss of the previous family.
Yes.
They had their own family with their own parent. Now they have lost it. They are now in this mixture of things they don't understand. So they are still grieving. They need time. This therefore means that you cannot expect children to accept you, love you immediately. Give it time. Give it time, and tell yourself they could still be grieving, and with time they will be over with grieving, and they may begin to warm up to you. And then another reason might be jealousy. You are coming in, and I have been comfortable with my parent, and now you are coming in and you are taking my parent. Therefore, it means now I am going to be sidelined. I'm going to be ignored. I'm not going to be a priority now to my parent. And it pains them. And therefore, as they are pained, then they take out on you. They then reject you because you are the cause of my pain. If that be the case, then it means you have to address that cause as well. You have to discuss it with your spouse to say, this could be the reason. How can we help the child be comfortable with this change? Because the child is just lost and angry. How can we help the child be comfortable with this change and be less angry? Maybe you may decide, you as an outside person, you may then decide, okay, I think you need to spend more time with the child. Though we are a blended family, but let's make sure that you now and then you have a one-to-one relationship with the child so that the child doesn't feel abandoned. My presence makes the child feel abandoned. So if you really have more time with the child will feel good. Okay, no, this person doesn't bring a change. This person doesn't make my parent abandon me or ignore me. So spend more time with the child. You also have to show as much love as you can, despite the fact that you feel you are not wanted, you are not hated. But because you understand the underlying reasons, you don't personalize it and feel bad equally. You just tell yourself the child is struggling. Let me see what I can do to help this child. And you emphasize the positives in the child. Emphasize the positive. The child will love you. Affirm the child. Look at what the child is doing well, and talk about it. The child will melt with time. and will not see you as an enemy.
Yes. Okay. Wow. Here, I think I can just imagine the difficulty. But from what I'm hearing you saying so far, is that there needs to be a lot of thought and planning, and that goes into this thing before and even during the process. So a parent is sitting there now, a young lady who has maybe a baby or children. They're saying, how do I balance my needs? I need for companion, I need for a relationship, and the needs of the children. It seems as if the children needs overrides mine. So how do we balance these two? I'm single, but I have this child or children. I also want companion. I want to move in. I want to move on and have a relationship with this person or marriage, whatever the case may be. How do we balance these two needs? The children's need and my need.
Yeah. I think you need to prioritize the need of the child, because the child does not understand. And as you prioritize that one, you also look at your need as an adult. And by prioritizing the needs of the child, you then look at what are those needs? What are those needs? How can I meet them? In most cases, it's a need for love and attention. In most cases. And you also have to balance it with your need for love and attention for your partner. Your partner also needs love, your partner needs attention. And if you don't balance, then you give this one feels jealous. And then you focus this one, the child feels jealous. So you have to balance. And by balancing, then it will mean allocating time. Have time for your spouse, one-on-one time, a regular time where you sit down and discuss your relationship, so that your spouse doesn't feel you are prioritizing the children. Time for you and you. Whatever you do, you just leave it and say, it is our time. It is our time. And then you also have time with the children as well. You make sure that you have a one-to-one time with each child, so that they don't feel abandoned. Yeah. And then you, when you have time with them, you can hear how they feel, what their needs are, and how they want those needs to be met. But when they just get attention and they feel they are listened to, they will be quite happy. They will not feel that you have abandoned them just because you now have a new friend. And when you also have time for your spouse, she will not feel you are prioritizing the children. So you
more
just
than
have
me.
to time management.
So it's a management business. Now, I want us to talk briefly about the different styles of parenting and disciplining. Now, this child was coming from this particular way, and I'm bringing my disciplinary procedures that I used in my previous relationship in my children, and the other spouse doesn't like it. They sometimes feel I'm too strict or I'm too laissez-faire. I'm just, how do you deal with that kind of an arrangement when it comes to different parenting styles where you really disagree, you don't like how the other person is parenting my child?
That is a common practical problem. I have come across it several times, where the relationship becomes so drained that you can see that even divorce now can be considered here. Because the other one feels this way, the other one feels this way. You cannot do this to my child. If you continue doing this, then, a parent has to now make a choice. And in most cases, the parenting styles, it's where the other one comes across as being too strict, and the other one comes across as too
soft.
Let's say it's fair. Yes, too soft. In some instances, you find that it's the woman who's too strict, who's just too strict and feels the man is just leaving these children to do whatever they want to do. And in some instances, it is the man who is exercising his headship and discipline and all that, and the woman is not used to that because they were just on their own and children. So it becomes difficult. Now you have to sit down with them. Oh, they have to sit down and discuss their parenting styles. Acknowledge that they differ and not be defensive, because the strict one will blame the other one, and the other one will blame this. They must stop the blaming game. They must stop the blaming game and accept that they are different in the way they parent children for whatever reason. And it worked for them when they were in their own families. But now that they are now in a blended family, some changes have to happen. Some changes have to happen. They have to meet each other halfway. So they will discuss these parenting styles, the advantages of each and the disadvantages of each, and then decide to pick up the advantages of each and say, okay, this one, the disadvantages are these. Therefore, it's not that my style is good, it's so good, because it has disadvantages. But these are the advantages. I'm picking up the advantages. Yours is also good, but it has disadvantages. You seem to be ruling an iron rule, you know. So, but there are advantages because really there's order. Since you came in, there's order and everything. But the atmosphere is cold and the children are resenting you because of the way you are doing things. So you pick up the good from each parenting style and you bring it together and you come up with your new parenting style as a new family. But you have to agree. But if you do that whilst blaming each other, then the other one will be so defensive. But if you simply say, no, your style is good, it was working, but now we have to do things differently. Mine was also good and working, but we have to do things. Let's meet each other halfway. And then that's where compromise comes in. And actually, as you do that, you end up coming up with the ideal parenting style. The ideal parenting style that combines both order, strictness, and all that, and also warmth and love, and you end up coming with an ideal one.
Sure.
But you have to discuss. Actually, those are the things that you discuss even before marriage. In counseling, you explore your parenting styles and how you continue in the marriage.
Uti apa Emi, that snip up and place, hey. It's a big issue. This thing, it's not easy. It's not just taking up stuff and just moving in with someone. I see you, Zianda Mbomvumos. I saw you. Good to see you again after Siboni Nkonzweni last time. Asanda Gikaba Plati. Good to see you, Sisi. Snazo Trichana Teki. Good to see you, these guys. And if I miss out anyone, please forgive me. But we are really now in the nuts, in the detail of this issue, where we are talking about how can we manage blended or step families successfully. We've highlighted some of the issues that need to be addressed before. We are now looking at issues inside the marriage and the problems. Now, there's one question that I forgot to ask, which is about this woman coming to marry me. I have 3 children already. She doesn't have her own children, or it could be the guy otherwise. She doesn't have children. She's looking forward to establishing her own family, but now coming into this marriage already having to parent children that she didn't even know, or how does she prepare her mind and herself to move into a relationship of that nature? Whether the children live under the same roof or elsewhere. But how do you, as a person, prepare your mind to say, I'm now moving into a relationship that's going to require me to act as a mother, to children to be involved in decision making about buying of clothes, this and that, how can that person deal with that situation?
Yeah. You just have to sit down and examine yourself. Examine yourself. Look at the resources, the internal resources that you have, because you may not change the situation. You may not, you will find it like that. So you either adapt or you don't even go there. So with some people, as they do that, they discover that they do not have enough emotional resources to deal with such issues, and they decide not to get into such a marriage. And then they say, I want to start afresh with my man. Because at times you find that now you have to parent teenagers when you have never parented, and these teenagers might perform and do all those things, and you don't know what to do. You just don't want stress from the onset. You just want to start marriage like all other people. So you
Yes.
examine yourself. If you feel you cannot, don't go in. But if you feel you can, then you can consider going in and consider what you can do. Do you have support system that will help you as you encounter difficulties as a new parent? Do you have patience? You need patience. You need to have love, plenty of love. Children need to be loved, and if you don't have plenty, if you have little bit that is enough for your husband only, then don't get in. Don't get in. They need plenty. And again, we are talking about you adjusting to. Yeah, you need support.
Yeah. We need
But
support.
above all, you need to learn more about parenting. Begin to attend parenting seminars, begin to read books on parenting, begin to understand the developmental stages of children so that you can understand the stages of the children you are going to be parenting, and know what to expect, and know how you are going to be handling that. You need to prepare yourself before getting in. But if you get in blindfoldedly, then you are going to be stressed, very stressed. And the children may even cause the breakdown of the marriage. As they often say, most blended families are broken down by children. Mainly because some people just get in not prepared for step parenting, and they mess up when they get in there.
When they're inside. Okay, we're gonna. Yeah, I want us to talk about the issue of sibling rivalry. Now there's conflict now among the children of the different parentage that are now here, and then how do we resolve these problems now? These children are fighting. These children do not get along. It's causing emotional, painful emotional environment in the home. How do you do it? Uluthando Ndabambi uthi, please don't go in. Doc, that's the best advice. That's a recipe for disaster. Don't start. Sure. And then uthi, is there any significance to be placed on the language used by the children when relating to the step parent, for instance, not referring not referring to the stepmom as mother, while the biological father is called father? So in other words, should the children, if I understand the question correctly, should it be a big issue that you're not calling me mom, you're calling me auntie so and so or uncle so and so? So let's deal with this together, ma'am. The rivalry between siblings, who manages that, and how do those get resolved? And then we come back to this question by Sia here.
Okay, first of all, try to find out why. Why are they fighting? Why sibling rivalry? Because if you can discover that, then you can address the cause before you even talk to them. It is possible that you are the cause. You are the cause because of favoritism. So when you favor these and those who are not favored, they develop resentment and anger. And when you are not there, they take it out on those that are loved. And yeah, you may be the cause for not treating them the same way. And again, some might still be grieving, Maybe you brought your own child who is not grieving, no lost, nothing, because the two of you were just staying together. And then the other one has lost a parent. The parent died due to COVID or whatever. And the child is still grieving. So remember, grieving goes with anger. It goes with anger. And, grieving, this side is pain, this side is anger. So this child might be in pain and might be reflecting by the anger, and then might be provocative and, beating up others and all that, and they end up fighting. So try to find out the cause. If the cause is grieving, then you know what you need to do. You need to give this child special attention and help this child to heal from the emotional wound. At times, if it's favoritism, do introspection, how you treat the children. And if you are buying this one expensive phone and the other one, you are buying them cheap phones, obviously this one is going to be angry and they are going to fight on their own. He'll just be looking for any minor thing to fight this one. So end of the day, you are the cause. So check those, do introspection, clarify those things, make sure that you are not the cause. And then from there, you look at what could be causing them to fight. Look at the ages, look at their developmental stages, why they are fighting. They could be both teenagers, or the other one could be 5-year-old, the other one could be 13 and demanding obedience from the other one. If the other one does not obey, beat them, the other one up. Look at the developmental stages and then address it accordingly. You need to not to take sides. You must not appear like you are taking sides. Yes. Both of you should be involved, because when you are the only one, it might be perceived by the other child as though you are taking side, even though the other child is the one who is causing trouble. But you must not point it out because you are not a biological parent. Therefore, if you do, you are taking sides. Both of you should be involved, and both of you should agree on how to handle this. You bring in your conflict resolution skills here. You look at the problem, what is the problem? What are the solutions? You brainstorm solutions, and then you also involve the children themselves. What are the causes? How can we solve this? You are fighting and we need to end this. How can we end it? They come up with ideas. They come up with solutions. That way you're also teaching them conflict resolution skills, so that next time you don't even have to involve, they'll fight and resolve it themselves.
Yeah. I think just before you move to this question by Sia, I think the word that we used in describing this topic, managing, I think it's a very important word. It's about really stewarding and managing these relationships and the various aspects of it. It's just like managing a department or whatever the case may be. It's not going to be a smooth sailing, but someone is going to do the work. And then if you're already in that relationship, that someone is you. You've got to develop the management skills, the managerial skills. It's just like being promoted in a department or in a company to run it. You've got to learn how to be a supervisor. You've got to learn. So even here, if let's say there's someone who's out there listening who's already in this situation, who unfortunately came into this situation without doing the preparations before, they were so in love. They wanted to get into this a relationship with this person. They didn't think through all these issues. You're finding yourself in that situation. I think what you're saying, Doc, is that it is not over and late. People can still work things out if they apply some of these principles. Now, this issue of the names, how do you call me? For example, I'm the head of this family. Everyone under this roof has to call me Tata. Or, no one's going to come up and say, I'm an uncle so-and-so. How do you deal with those kinds of things? Is there any significance to how that language is used by the children in referring to either parents?
Yes, if your aim is to build a successful blended family, you don't force children to call you Dada or Mama or whatever. You don't force them. Let it come naturally. It is advisable that initially, when you start the family, you just find out what they are comfortable calling you. Like, would you be, initially, they don't want to be very close to you. So they will not want to call you Mama or Dada. But they should be given space to call you something as they get used to you. And then with time, they will naturally feel like calling you Mama or Dada. Just coming in, then you are Dada. No. I just want to say, I know my father.
I've got my own.
I have my own father. No. And then you think you are replacing my father. No. If the father is late, perhaps. So don't enforce. Don't enforce. The children should come from them. But then do find out from them, because there should be an agreement on something that is acceptable.
Yeah.
They may want to call you uncle, they might want to call you aunt, or they might want to call you mamncane or whatever, but agree with them and check with other family members what would be suitable, because they might not want to call you mama, but they don't know what to say.
Yes,
and then if you check with other family members, then you are able to bring suggestions to say, okay, would you be comfortable calling me so? Will you be comfortable? They like it if you allow them. But if you force it, you must remember that you are basically hating them and you are retarding the adjustment process. There's nothing wrong in being called uncle
Malume.
or babumncane or malume or whatever. But hopefully with time, they will change, because the other children will be calling you Tata. And then they will change naturally. And the mother will somehow say, don't you feel you are not part of the family if you call him differently when other children are calling him this way? Then the child might say, no. Or the child might say, yeah, I think it's better to just call him like the other children.
Yeah.
But if it's negotiated, then it's good. It's good for the children.
Okay. There are so many variables here that we're talking about because a lot of it can also depend on how my relationship with my former spouse was and how this relationship now we are having developed. Was the mother pushed by this other person who's now living, pushed out of the relationship? Those things can also affect the relationship in many ways. Now, let's talk about the issue of that you touched on earlier on. Let me just make sure that I don't have questions here that people have asked. Okay. I see Loyiso Sizwe Mosi. Good to see you, man. Ulinodia. Frederick, hey, good to see you, Leno. And if I happen to miss your message, please forgive me. It's not because I don't recognize you, but I can't see it on these devices that I'm using. Now, there's the issue of the battles on property ownership. In a book, in your book, you say, when a blended family is formed, most spouses come with some movable and immovable property like a house and a car, as well as insurance policies that have their own children as beneficiaries. When one of the spouses does not have any property and feels entitled to some of the property brought along by the other partner, conflict often arises, especially if the property owner believes that what he or she has belongs to his and her children or her children. So, can you just elaborate a bit more in terms of how this can be dealt with? You talked earlier on about possibly involving lawyers and legal people to address even the nature, the type of the marriage that is being handled here. Can you just make a bit more comment?
It becomes difficult if the other spouse who does not have anything is then making demands. Yeah, it really becomes difficult, and it causes strain and resentment. But if the spouse who does not have anything is just content with what he has, and simply say, I was like this, I'm content, I do not have a car, so I'm content, and whatever I get here is fine, whatever I get is fine, but do not demand. And then the other one will therefore decide how he or she is working out things. In most cases, it becomes a problem if it is a husband who comes in with nothing and demand from a woman who has this and this and this and this, because it is often interpreted differently. It's like you didn't marry her for a right reason. You married her for a wrong reason. And there's a possibility that you just want to get whatever you can get, and at some stage you might leave her.
Some gold digger.
Yes. Some they stay, but they behave recklessly. Like the person doesn't have a car, you have a car, and he's driving this car every day. He's dropping you at work, and then when he comes back, he picks up a girlfriend, and he moves around with the girlfriend and all that, and he becomes a big guy because of your car.
And you're the one paying for the petrol going into that vehicle.
Yes. So it's those things that make a woman uncomfortable. But if it is a woman who comes in with nothing and the man has a lot, it's acceptable, because you married this woman saying you're gonna take care of her. So even if she doesn't have anything, it's okay. You'll provide what you have. And with regard to property, you will give her what you want to give her. If you don't want to give her, that will be unfair, because you said you will take care of her. You are expected to take care of her. So even if she's not entitled to everything, but you should consider giving her some of the things. And again, you need to discuss this before marriage, because what you have, it's not really yours. It's basically yours and your children. And children are very sensitive to such issues. They're very sensitive to such issues. And if then this one demands this, and let's say you have 3 properties, you have 3 houses, and then you say this other house, you're gonna give it to her, and you have 3 children, and children will resent it and say, but this is our property. Our mother worked for this. And they're so territorial that it can just make it difficult to have a successful, happy marriage. So, yeah, I don't know how really you can resolve it, especially if you are a woman who has property and the man does not have.
Sure.
Have to consider that before getting in. And if you are not willing to share, and you are saying it's for your children, rather not get in there, because when you get in, you have to share. You have to share.
You have to share.
You have to share. You said you love this person.
Okay. All right. We're really getting into the meat of this thing because I will ask you later to just tell people how they can get hold of your book here. But because and I would like you to prepare for this because I'm going to ask you because in the book you're talking about, um, for example, some basic ingredients for a successful family, blended family. I'm sure we've touched on them along this path, but at the end, I would like you to please touch on them again and success tips for the people who are involved in blended family. But now, before I forget this question, there's a child now who's now listening to this topic as we're now talking. She or he is living within a blended or step family. All right. How can they deal with their own feelings? Because sometimes they can also contribute to the problems here. How can they deal with that? I mean, can you just talk to that child to say, what can they do to contribute to a better relationship outcome between the spouses that are involved, but also between them and the new spouse coming in?
In other words, the family is already established.
The family is established, but there's this child who is now living in this blended family, and I'm asking the question as to if they're old enough, what can they do to try and make things better in this family? What contribution can they make?
The contribution is basically to, first of all, respect the step parent. Respect the step parent, because at times we say love the step parent. Meanwhile, it's not easy for some stepchildren to love a step parent. But respect the step parent, and do not do things that will hurt your parent. In other words, do not be mean to your step parent, yet you know very well that it will hurt your parent. And be positive, be optimistic, develop a positive mind, look for good points, look for good things in this step parent. And as you look for good things in this step parent, you highlight them, you affirm them, or you communicate regularly with the step parent or with both of them. You communicate regularly. But if you have a positive attitude, your communication will be positive, and it will make them relax and feel comfortable with you. And
Okay.
And then with
all right.
time, love will
come.
Will grow.
Okay. Uthi Ziyanda Mbomvumosi uthi unzima lomba. Very difficult matter. Even our biological children aboneliseki. In other words, you can't satisfy them fully. Iba worse xa ungu-step parents. And she just prays and she says, Sincede, yes. Ulotando comes back to say, but again, Prapet and you, Doc, try not to put pressure on your spouse and say, talk to your kids. That's the worst thing one can do. Brilliant answer, Doc. You don't force kids to call you. We are empowered indeed today. He's very, very happy about this. And then una lady saying, apologies if strange messages, emojis come from me. No, sorry, we didn't see any strange emojis, Naledi. I noticed that you're on the road, but she's saying it's a great conversation, Doc. Okay. Now, I wanted just to make this point to people again, that this program, we're just talking in general terms for educational and awareness raising. If people want to have specific advices that are pertaining to their specific situation, there are psychologists and therapists and people like that people can talk to. And Dr. Rapitsi is one such person. So can you just tell us briefly about the work that you do? So can people contact you? Can people phone you? And do you have sessions or whatever? So can you just tell us about how do you work with people? Let's say someone is listening. They say, man, we are in this situation. We need help. How can you work with them?
You contact me, you call me, and we make an appointment, and then we meet, we have a session, and then we discuss what the issues are, and then we decide on the number of sessions, and then we go on. Yeah, we could have maybe 1 or 2 sessions, or we could have more sessions, depending on the issue. But if it's premarital counseling, and then it will depend on what we are looking at.
And talking about that, a lot of people go to pastors for premarital counseling or whatever the case may be. So, and sometimes, do you need to select a pastor who is trained to do this? Because some pastors are trained in hermeneutics and homiletics, but not necessarily to counsel people at these deeper levels. So what can you say about the kind of person that one selects to, and their training and experience to deal with these matters with them?
It is often difficult to know their training, but it's easy to know their experience, because more often they participate in marriage enrichment seminars and all that, and you begin to see those who are more knowledgeable, who read a lot, and so you can, if you are particular, you can select that way. And there are those that you don't know, you have never heard them participate on any family life issue, or then you can then decide, hey, I'm not comfortable with that one. But with regard to training, some of them are not trained, but with continuing education that is given to pastors, they have been equipped to do counseling, especially premarital counseling. But some of them, they take the training seriously, and some of them do not. They come back from the training and they just put all the books and the CDs there, they accumulate dust, and they remain as they are. But those who take training seriously, I would say they do get training as continuing professional development.
Okay, that's good. So that,
but then also you can also get references. There are those who have been having counseling and then who have gone to so and so, and then they can give you references.
For those people that have just joined us, we have talked about in the definition of a blended family. In fact, Doc, when I first heard the term, I remember I had just started working at UCT, and my boss, doctor there, said, she introduced a son and says, we have a blended family. I thought, man, this must be the most perfect family, when she used the word blended. And I'd never heard that term before. And I went out and looked for it, and I realized, it's not like it's a perfect family. And then I found out. Now, for those people that have just joined us, we have been talking about the blended family. We've traversed the discussion from the definition, the issues that lead to it, things like death and divorces and relationships where people come and live together. And but what we have found also is that there are challenges that can arise, challenges around the in-laws, the multiple in-laws that are involved, children and the discipline, financial issues, a whole range of issues that we've covered today. And now we're transitioning to now say, what is it that really can be done to address these problems? So now, can we just talk about some of the basic ingredients for a successful blended family? If you can just share, even those that we've covered, maybe we can summarize them in some bullet points so that we can say a person who's in that situation now, even those of us who have not actually done a proper preparatory work before, but who are saying, I want to turn this into a positive story for me, what can they do?
I would say good communication and conflict resolution skills. They are very important because the nature of the blended family, it's laden with a lot of issues that cause conflict. So if there's poor communication, you don't talk about those issues, and you don't have effective conflict resolution skills, then instead you become angry with each other for months and months until you decide to call it quits. So it's important to sharpen your communication skills and your conflict resolution skills. And then it's also important to have realistic expectations, because expectations can cause conflict, resentment and anger and all those things. When you feel your needs are not met, or when something that you do not expect is happening, or something that you expect does not happen. So in some instances, you find that you were having unrealistic expectations. You are expecting this partner to do A, B, C, D, E, and the partner is not able to do that. So you need to check your expectations and make sure that both of you have expectations that are realistic, so that nobody disappoints them.
Sorry, ma'am, sometimes a person may expect this new spouse to cook and do the things the same way the previous spouse did.
Yes,
And
yes.
that person doesn't know.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And
okay.
it could just be a recipe for disaster. Another one is to just develop a positive attitude. Develop a positive attitude. Be a positive person. Be somebody that is, good to live with. Good to live with. If you are positive, it's even easier to deal with conflicting issues if you are a positive person. But we have people who are negative people, always picking up the negatives. They never say thank you. They never see the good that you do. And it's not easy to build a successful blended family. Plenty of love is important. Plenty of love and respect. And we know that the Bible emphasizes the two, and the other one has to give more, and the other one the woman has to give more respect, and the man has to give more love. And if we have a good of those, the marriage would be interesting. And again, with a positive attitude, is to have an attitude that marriage is permanent and irreversible. Once you come in with an idea of, you always have an exit door, then you are not going to do your best to make sure that the marriage is successful, because your exit door is always open. Close the exit door. Tell yourself the marriage is permanent and irreversible. Then you will be able to do your best. You'll be able to resolve conflict, and you'll be able to to be positive despite whatever is happening. And accept your spouse as he or she is. In other words, accept the personality of the person you are married to. You saw this person before getting married, and now you cannot say now you don't understand him or her now that you are married. Accept and do the best to cope if some of the things are unacceptable.
Yeah.
Change what you can change, accept what you cannot, and ask God to help you deal with what you cannot change. And understand the gender difference. We are not the same, and you cannot expect your men to see things the way you see them, or the woman to do things the way you see them. And that applies to all types of marriages. where conflict arises because of lack of understanding of gender differences. Gender differences in communication, gender differences in the needs. Men have their own unique needs, women have their own unique needs. It's important to understand those things, because when you understand them, you can meet them and make sure the relationship is nourished, is healthy, and you can avoid unnecessary conflict or tension. Make space for each one of you to grow. Don't suffocate the other one. You marry somebody who has aims for further studies, who have aims for business or whatever, and then you come and say, no, you can't. Remember, you're married now. Remember, you're married. No, give each other space. Give each other space. The marriage should not be a prison for the other person. And forgiveness is very important. As in all other marriages, forgiveness is very important. We are human beings. We err every day. We ask for forgiveness from God. We ask for forgiveness from each other. Forgive each other on a regular basis. Don't say, I forgave you yesterday. You want me to forgive you again? No. No. On a regular basis.
Hey,
That way,
this is not a child's play.
can make sure. Yeah. And to create a warm environment in the home, appreciate and affirm your spouse on a regular basis. And the spouse must not ask for compliments, must not ask for, or it should just happen naturally. Appreciate your spouse on a regular basis. And it will also help your spouse to be a loving step parent if you do that. And you need to invest on your love bank. Your love bank, in other words, the things that you know are making your spouse happy, you do them regularly. And as you do them, you are depositing in the love bank. But when you do things that are hurting and not pleasing the spouse, you are withdrawing from the love bank. And when you do those hurting things and words and regularly, you withdraw until the love bank is empty. Then you wonder when the other one is proposing a divorce, because you have just been withdrawing, not investing. Make it a habit that you invest regularly on the love bank. Ask yourself, what did I do today? What did I to deposit in the love bank? And then that way you can make sure that the relationship lasts for a long time.
Wow.
I think those are
Wow.
a few things.
What a way to end this, because in the final analysis, we need to have relationships that are happy, that are working, relationships that are loving, and that are being nurturing. And what better way to do that than to think about it as a depositing into this bank account. I see you, Malungi. Bella, I see you, Liz Omgongo. Later, good to see you. I see people that have joined, or maybe that have appeared on my screen here. Ma'am, I think we've come now to the end of the conversation, but I just want you to please, because I got this, my copy and my wife's copy from you when you visited our home in Cape Town all those years ago. And other people have also indicated that they would like their own copies of this document. So tell me, how can they get access to it? I know that even online people can buy it. So how can they get this copy?
Definitely they can buy it online, Amazon, from Amazon, and they also have an e-copy. And then hard copies are obtainable from me. Those who are around Gauteng, it's easy to get them. I did not distribute them to the bookshops, so it's online or directly from the author.
So if people wanted to get hold of you, do you have an email address that they can send a message to a way
Yes.
they can contact you?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
It's Dogdolme,
DOG.
Dogdolme, Dog
Kapil? Yes.
Dolme
LME. Yes.
at yahoo.com.
Oh, okay. At Yahoo.
.com. I have a Gmail with my name, but I'm using this one more often.
For business. So this is DOGDOLM at
Yes.
yahoo.com. So
LME.
LME. Okay.
Yes. At
Okay.
yahoo.com.
All right. I've sent it through to the Facebook page so that everybody who wants the copy can get it from them, and can get it from you and read it, and hopefully people can find very practical ways to deal with the preparation, to deal with the situation, to deal with the mitigation or whatever issues are that people are going through as we wrap up this conversation. Ma'am, maybe you have last few comments you want to make that I may have missed here. Maybe you want to make a maybe last minute comment, and then we can wrap up and say goodbye to our viewers.
What I can say is that a blended family is one of the families that are there. And it was there even before, even in the Bible times, it was there. We read of many instances where some people grew up in blended families.
Yes.
And we do see that blended families can be successful if much effort has been put into it, and if much preparation, if the necessary preparations are made. But above all, I think God should be involved. When you consider entering a blended family, God should come first. You should inquire from God if it is His will that you get into this marriage. And then from there, when you are in it, rely on Him. Rely on Him. All the challenges that you face, you can never deal with them successfully without the assistance of God. Remember the verse that says, trust in the Lord with all your, and lean not on your own understanding. And just do that. Trust Him in everything that you encounter in a blended family. And don't lean on your own understanding and say, I know. No, even if you know, but bring God in. That way you can be sure that you are on the right track, and God is going to see you through the blended families. And God is going to help you with the challenges that you are facing. They will be there, but with God's help, you will survive.
Thank you so much. We thank you so much for that, because ultimately the institution of marriage was God's idea originally, and He's the one who is invested in making it successful. Thank you so much. Wow, Dr. Radebe-Rapitsi, this is imvuselelo for everyone who is in love, married or not, blended or not. Thank you for the inspiration. Entering the marriage, telling myself that there is no exit door, and do my best. Powerful indeed. Wasanda Kikaba Plaki Uti. Thank you, Doc and Mr. Kulati, for a powerful topic. That's what we want to do, is to bring these topics that people can benefit and people's lives can be improved as a result of this. And I'd like to encourage all of you who are now watching and we have still not subscribed to our YouTube channel, which is Kulati Coaching and Consulting. Please go there and subscribe. That's where you're gonna get all these topics that we are talking about. Feel free to also suggest a speaker or a topic around the issues that we deal with: finances, family, development, growth, and all those kinds of things. Please make sure that you cover that. I can see Mfundisi Untapo, Clifford Ntapo is watching. Great. Thank you so much, Pastor, for giving us this time. I can see Love. I'll have to start this one because I caught it too late. Please do that. You can go and watch it right on this platform where you are, on this Facebook page or on the YouTube channel. Please do that. Share it also with friends and families and other people who may benefit from it. Mtutu Mini Uti, this was very informative. Thank you so much, Siabulela. So thank you so much again, Doc, to you and for spending this time, and to our viewers who have decided to join us and spend the afternoon with us. Some of you are driving, some of you are at home, wherever you are, thank you. But if you have not had a chance to watch it today, we understand you can go back to it during the week and watch it on the platforms that I've mentioned again. Please be safe and all the best as you start this week. Thank you so much. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you did such a great job today. Okay. All right. Thank you to everyone who has watched. Please share this with as many people as you can. And even those that are not married yet or are married, everybody can learn something. As Usis Bakolile was saying, even those of us who are already in marriage, we learn a lot from this. How we can invest in our relationship, how we can constantly appreciate our spouses, and to make sure that they are better off as a result of us. Thank you so much for your time, and adios. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Okay, bye-bye. Cheers.